What's going on, fragrance family? It's your man Gator, better known as the Novice Nose out here in these fragrance streets. You know, every once in a while, somebody out there in the Novice Nation recommends a fragrance to me that they swear is just the best thing since sliced bread. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes the fragrances are duds. I mean, there are new fragrances that are dropped every day out there in this world, man, and some of them just fly completely under the radar. I can't smell everything. I only got one nose, man. Well, my guy Dame out there, shout out to Dame, was really pushing on me about a fragrance from Armaf that really did kind of slide under the radar last year, man. This is a fragrance that is supposedly reminiscent of another popular fragrance from Bond called Scent of Peace. Well, I did have a good chance to, spend some time with this fragrance, as you can maybe tell by the way that this bottle is shaped. It's kind of hard to see the juice, but I did have a lot of time to spend with this one. Let me talk about this one with you guys. So y'all know the drill. Go ahead, pull up, stay tuned. So again, the fragrance that we're going to be talking about today is from Armaf. It was released last year towards the end of the year, kind of flew under the radar, but it's called Blue Sky. Now, apparently this is modeled off of a building, the way that this thing is shaped here, but the bottle's nice. It's interesting, as far as this design goes. Got the little Armaf logo at the top here. You can probably see my usual wrestling stuff going on in the background here, but this is Blue Sky. Let me go ahead and take a little spray of this. This is, of course, the atomizer with the Armaf stuff is always pretty decent here. It's very rare that you find a bad atomizer with the Armaf stuff. But let's get into the fragrance itself here. Now, again, as I said at the beginning, a lot of people, especially if you look over Fragrantica, they kind of say that this one smells like Scent of Peace. Now, Scent of Peace, Bond number 9 fragrance, one of their more, under the radar fragrances, but it's actually a really nice fragrance. This is not that, okay? I can see a little bit of the reminiscent in the dry down on this, but in all actuality, that fragrance opens up with a heavy dose of cassia, heavy dose of juniper. That cassia leaf is almost green. It comes across almost green when you smell it, man. And a little bit of that cedar. The cedar comes across real sharp at the top of that, but that's a natural cedar that they're using there. And it's a beautiful fragrance, a little bit sharp at the top, but a really beautiful fragrance, especially as it gets into the dry down. This one is not that, okay? Especially at the beginning and the opening of it. This is a lot smoother opening than that fragrance. But let's get into the notes here, because there's a big difference as far as like the way that those two fragrances represent. I'm not even gonna really say how that fragrance Scent of Peace is, because I think this is its own unique fragrance here. So let me get into the notes on this. So the top notes on this fragrance are blackcurrant, pineapple, bergamot, mandarin, apple, pink pepper, and lemon. So as you see, it's kind of fruit heavy there. Middle notes are jasmine, sambac, and patchouli. Yeah. And then you got your base notes of ambroxan, vanilla absolute, amber, cedarwood, tobacco, orchid, and moss. And I think what it happens a lot of the time, especially on Fragrantica, when you see a fragrance and it has like similar notes to another fragrance, a lot of times people, without even smelling it, start correlating that fragrance to, another fragrance that's out there that has similar notes. This one, not so much. Okay, so it starts up, and let me get another good spray of this, because I love how this thing pushes in the air, man. Starts out really fruity. Now, I just named a whole bunch of fruits, but it doesn't come across as like a sickeningly sweet style of fruit. Comes across as a really smooth, mellow kind of fruity nature here, right? You get a good dose of that pineapple and that apple. Those are the two main players that I get. Now, I do get a little bit of the tartness from that orange that's in here, but the main culprit as far as the fruitiness goes is definitely that pineapple and that apple. Now, we're not talking about, speaking of correlations, you know, whenever you mention pineapple, somebody gonna pull a Ventus out, and it is not that style of pineapple. This is a little bit more of a subdued pineapple, but it does have a little bit of that apple kick in there to kind of give it a little bit of liveliness. Now, one of the things in this fragrance that sticks out to me from the top is you can feel that essence, smell the essence, kind of get the texture of tobacco. That tobacco is definitely in here. While it's a base note in here, and you're thinking, well, you're not going to see that, you know, till further down in the dry down. No, it makes itself apparent from the opening of this fragrance. So what you're getting here when you first spray it on is you're getting a beautifully fruity, kind of subdued fruitiness. It's not super overly sweet, but there is a nice little sweetness to it, right? Mellow sweetness. And then you're getting a good bit of a tobacco vibe going on in here. And that tobacco really gives this thing not only that the smell, the odor of that tobacco, but you're getting the texture of it, man. It's got a nice little vibe going as you spray this thing on in the opening. Now, also in here, to give it a little bit of an effervescent vibe at the top, you get that pink pepper really kind of imparting itself in there, and it does kind of tickle your nose a little bit here. Pink pepper is good for doing that. So while you're getting the vibe of that fruit and that tobacco, you're getting that pink pepper there tickling the nose. It gives this really interesting vibe, right? When you first spray it on, you're getting, like I said, a fruity nature, kind of effervescent, but smooth. It's interesting, right? It does have kind of a, and this is maybe why people kind of associate it with scent of peace, not exactly sure. It does have almost this really airy, aromatic, but calming kind of vibe to it. And maybe that's where they're getting it from, not exactly sure, but I do know that this fragrance has that kind of aromatic, calming nature. Now, one of the things I mentioned that I really like about this fragrance is how smooth it is, right? So after that first few minutes or so, that pink pepper, that effervescence from that pink pepper kind of dies down after that first 15 to 20 minutes, right? It kind of gets in there to kind of tickle the nose, and then after that, it kind of subsides. But what you're kind of left with at that point is this really smooth vibe as you're going down into the life, right? As you get into that hour, you're getting mostly a tobacco-ish, woody-ish type of vibe that you're getting. And then, like I said, that little subtle sweetness that's kind of going throughout. Pineapple dominant in that subtle sweetness, by the way. That is what you're getting for the most part. But what you're also getting is this really like enveloping, smooth quality in this thing. And I really believe this is coming from that amber. That amber is definitely taking it. And we've talked about amber on this show before, how it kind of takes a fragrance, the notes of it, envelops it, man, and just kind of wraps it up in a little blanket and allows those fragrances to just kind of move in unison, smooths out the profile. That's exactly what it does in here, man. Smooths out that profile, and it just gives this really, now it's a linear fragrance, but it kind of gives it this really beautiful airiness to it, right? So this is one of the things that I can say about this fragrance that really impressed me, was the fact that while it was a fairly linear fragrance, it has a depth to it. And that depth is coming mostly from the fact that it does have a little bit of that woody tobacco kind of nature to it, but you're also getting qualities of that pineapple, qualities of that amber. It's just, it's gorgeously done. I really dig how they did this. That is really what you're getting for the remainder of this fragrance. I mean, you're looking at somewhere in the range of about a 6 to 7 hour life on skin on this. Now, I have heard, my guy Dame was like, hey, look, it lasts even longer on me. I get it. But it hasn't gotten that way on me. I'm getting like 7 hours on it on skin. I mean, it does project pretty nice here, about arm's length for that first hour and a half to 2 hours, and then it kind of slowly starts to shrink in. It becomes a skin scent for me right around that like 4 hour, 5 hour mark. But if you put this on clothes, it actually does bounce off clothes really, really well. It does give this really nice sillage as well here, especially when you throw it on clothes. I'm getting that that sillage popping and lasting for probably around that 5 hours here. Not uber strong sillage, but it is definitely something that people will smell in the air. And if you put it on clothes and you're kind of moving around a good bit, they'll smell it into the life. This is one of those that once you put it on, it's going to be there till you wash it. That sillage is going to kind of last until you wash that shirt. So this is another one that's probably going to be perfect hoodie weather fragrance here. Speaking of weather, I mean, I could say this is great for spring. This can actually do really well in warm weather. It's not one of those fragrances that's overpowering. It's sweet, but not like a sickly sweet. It's not overpowering when it comes to that. Now, I would say fall is probably going to be, spring and fall are the best times for this. Not sure this is going to be something that you want to wear in the winter time, but a 3-season fragrance ain't bad, especially for the price of this. I think this is running around like $25 or something like that. But man, this is really good. Snuck under the radar. Glad my guy Dame actually pointed this out to me. This has gotten quite a few wears because I've been doing a good bit of testing with it, and it's become one of my favorite little grab and reach for fragrances, man, just to kind of spray on to have something on me. And this is a great fragrance to have on you. It's great for compliments as well. I've gotten quite a few compliments on this thing in my wears. So I would say that this is a fragrance, if you have not put your nose on it, definitely put your nose on it, because I think this has some really good buying potential for you, as far as like a fragrance that you can have that's going to suit a bunch of different occasions, something that you're going to have a lot of utility with, man. Have you put your nose on this thing? Let me know in the comments, guys. I really like this, very much slept on, very much under the radar, but I think this is one that you would definitely love having in your collection. Let me know in the comments if you guys have smelled this, by the way. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share this video with somebody you know that loves fragrances. And as we always say, guys, whatever you're doing, however you're doing it, make sure you make today the best day ever on purpose. Peace out.